Hey, hey. What's up? What's up? What's up? You guys better hit that thumb up. So, okay, let me first start by saying this goes for any YouTube creator on any channel. The best way to support a channel is getting in the algorithm. Forget the money, forget anything. The best way to support a channel is hit that algorithm. And that would be a huge help if every single person hit that thumb up. Even hit thumb down, it doesn't even matter. Either way, it breaks in the algorithm and it's totally free. But I know a lot of creators push and push and push because it is huge. The couple of things that YouTube likes their money, which is why we tell people super chat and join member, because YouTube definitely likes their money. But more importantly, as a creator, the best way to support a creator is thumbs. Thumb up, thumb down, doesn't matter. Oh, it's only a thumb up? Okay. It used to be thumb up, thumb down. And like all your haters thought that, oh, thumb down. No, actually, but YouTube loves thumb ups. So yeah, thumb down doesn't even matter because either way, it would go into one algorithm. And they've always said that. Hey, Twine Thing, they've always said that it doesn't matter if you hit thumbs down as long as you hit something. Same thing with comments. Leave comments on your favorite channels. Even if it's a, not so nice comment, it still goes in the algorithm. It's the two things that YouTube loves outside of, of course, they love a piece of their pie. And let me tell you something, as someone who's done web design, I got news for you. To do a site like YouTube, I can't even imagine how much bandwidth they run and how much they are running on their site. So of course they like their money and they're entitled to it because 300,000 people a minute upload. That's huge. That's a lot of money. So I can see why they want their money, which is why they have YouTube TV and premium and all this other stuff. But as a creator, it is the one thing that they love. And that is interaction, thumb up, thumbs down, comments. They just want to see that it is I think it does count if you're blocked. But they just want to see that the channel that they're putting out there is producing something for them, whether it be ad revenue, whether it be, people like it. So that's why I've been told push. It's free. Nobody can, it's just free. It doesn't cost anything. And boom, just interact. I had this troll group come after me for a while. Do they really, Joseph? I had this troll group come after me for like 24 hours. They left like 700 comments on my videos. I left them all. I didn't remove them. Hell no. Absolutely. I'll keep them up. Keep coming at me. Too bad they didn't last more than 48 hours. But yeah, comments are great. YouTube loves them. All right. So that I just want to get that off the bat. I wasn't even going to go live tonight, but I was listening to Tyler and I just kept getting twisted of just a lot of things. Thank you, Brittany, and thank you, Bo. And it wasn't directed at Jim or anything. So I don't want anyone to think it's going to be like a bash Jim because it's not. It's just the entire sensationalism of what this case has turned into. And the people that were on it, how many are here from Summer Wells? You have Dr. Latina on Tyler's stream praising a narcissist. Okay, Dr. Latina, there goes your credibility out the window. Not that you didn't lose it a year ago, but just the point, hello, how do you not see this? Oh, that's cool, Margaret. So Jim and Doug ruined the Dylan Rounds case. Jerry, I agree with you, but it's far worse than what you think. Yeah, Dr. Latina was in Tyler's tonight on panel. And I was like, oh God, And I listened to her, and for the first 10 minutes, all she did was praise Jim. You're so funny. I was like, oh my God. Just can't with her. Dr. Latina's from MGL, and then she moved over to the Summer Wells case. That I don't know, Jerry, but anyone that knows her history, like Jerry does, knows what I'm talking about. But I was like, wow, just wow. Now, Tyler, in all fairness, did a very good job of cutting Jim off when he tried to bring up other stuff. He did keep it strictly to certain things. He kept it strictly to Dylan Rounds or whatever they were talking about. So I have no beef with Tyler per se on the way he handled Jim tonight. But I do have a problem with a lot of what's being said to the audience. And I really want to go through sensationalism over facts, because I see so many people in chat just buying into this sensationalism and buying into the bullshit that people are selling. And that's not fair to creators who actually want to talk about real facts in a case. And like I've said before, I don't care if I have 20 people in here. If it's 20 people that have the right mind, and yeah, me and Tyler are good. If it's 20 people that have the right frame of mind and 20 people that like facts, that's all I care about. I've said this 1,000 times over. Exactly, Faraz. Hey, Jenny, you got the soaps and candles? Good. Now, I'm so glad. You're very, very welcome. Hey, Kathy. And Faraz, that's what I feel like. People are not interested in the truth. Monica, your candle, the winner, and Audra? Athena? I forgot her name. I think it's Athena, are going out tomorrow. Everyone else, you guys went out already. Oh, no, I don't think JT has anything on him. Oh, awesome. So I can announce it. All right. So thanks to Avery. I want everyone to give Avery a shout out. I'm glad I can now announce it. We just have to put together a day. But thanks to Avery, JENSEN is going to come on my panel, and he's very big into the JonBenet Ramsey case. I found him on Twitter that he's very big into it right now, and we are going to be discussing a lot of theories and a lot of issues in the JonBenet Ramsey case. It's a case I know inside and out. I know a lot of you guys know it inside and out. So, if I'm more than willing to take questions and stuff. The good thing is Jason sees things the exact same way I do. He does not think a family member did it. I was like, oh, thank you. Somebody agrees with me. Because I know a lot of you guys told me I was crazy, that it was the brother, it was the mother, it was this, it was that. So, yes, a real PI, JENSEN. And if you're not familiar with him, he is the one that found Kylie and, oh my God, don't hate me, I forgot their names. The ones that were killed right around when Gabby Petito went missing. Damn, what is their names? Kylie and Crystal. Got it. Kylie and Crystal. And they didn't think they were ever going to solve the case. One of the best podcasts I've seen on that case was on Ickmel's. He had the father on before like JLR and all them touched it. The Moab murders. Yeah. He had the father on, and it was heartbreaking. I mean, when I tell you, listening to the father, it was absolutely heartbreaking. And Kylan, yes, thank you. And if you watch Ickmel's stream with the father, it was fantastic. And JENSEN was hired and nobody could find anything. The police didn't get anything. Nobody could find anything on what happened to them. And then JENSEN comes in and pieced it all together, and they got the killer. So I've always been impressed by his skills. Didn't know he was looking into the JonBenet Ramsey's case. And yeah, if you go to his Twitter, it's huge. He's all over it in the last 2 days. And I was like, ooh, let's do it. So yeah, so Avery just told me I can announce it. I'll let you guys know the day. I know he does court TV on Mondays and Thursdays, I think. So it won't be on a Monday or a Thursday, but it'll be sometime over the next few days while he's talking about JonBenet Ramsey. I think it'll be a great show, great interview, and he won't have to worry about Jim coming on. So thank you, Avery. And that is all because of Avery. So I want to thank Avery. I will always give credit where credit is due. And thank you, Avery. So there's that. And I'm excited. I was going to say, like, can I say anything? Should I not say anything? And then when she gave me the go ahead, I was like, sweet. Yeah, he's very professional. He knows what he's talking about. And again, yeah, JENSEN. What did I say? Didn't I say JENSEN? I am just so excited that somebody sees the JonBenet Ramsey case the same way I do, and that it was not the family. So I think it'll be a great conversation and a great interview and a great talk. And if Avery wants to come on panels, she's more than welcome. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. So I'll let you guys know the day as soon as I know the day. But okay, so moving on. There is something that we do. He's founding member. Oh, is he a founding member of the Utah Cold Case Coalition? I did not know that. That's awesome. Thank you. So, all right, with every single case, there is a level of sensationalism that we all fall into. There is a certain level of speculation that we all do. There is a certain level of mystery in every single case that we cover. That's what draws people to it. That's why we find certain cases, why we like certain cases, or why we don't like certain cases. You know, the Lori Vallow case, a lot of people fell in love with it because it was so complex. There were so many different aspects to it. There was so many different layers to it. And, you know, and I say bored housewives is not an insult, but bored housewives and crime junkies. And, you know, the only reason why I use the term bored housewives is because what do bored housewives do? Or work at home people do? We sit and watch ID all day. We used to. You know, when ID channel first came out, we were glued to the TV. My kids used to say, oh my God, you're watching the murder channel again. And every single housewife would put it on. Who killed who did this? And a lot of people became crime junkies. And like I had said to Black Dove, and then it gets to the point where every single person thinks they're a sleuth, but every single person gets, hey, whistle down, you're all the above. Every single person gets connected to a specific case for one reason or another. We don't know why certain people get connected. We don't know what causes people to get connected to a certain case or why we get connected to a certain case, but usually it's something within us that connects to that case. Whether it be somebody's gay, whether it be somebody looks like someone you know, or you know, shares similar values to what you know, something. Oh, is he Avery? Hey, Jason. Excited to have you on. So, and tell him I'll be on camera. Like, I don't normally do the screen. I was sweating all day and I look like death. So, and, you know, we all get connected to a case for many different reasons. So I was talking to some members about this today. There's so many cases out there that I do not feel a connection to. there's so many cases out there that people tell me to cover that I get bored on. And I hate the fact that there's all these cases that I just have no interest in. I'm looking for a case like Making a Murderer again. I want a case like that again. Something I can sink my teeth into, have a, whole network of people that are just as interested, going through every nook and cranny, going through every single paper, every document, basically like a PI, and just absolutely going headfirst into it. That's the kind of stuff I like. And I have not found a case like that since. Good night, Jenny. Feel better, hon. Right, Whistle Down? And, the thing about Making a Murderer, it wasn't rinse and repeat. We weren't saying the same stuff over and over. I have tons of videos to show that. So, we were always finding something new. Well, what I've seen in other cases is that people are, what, Fluffer? Come here. That people keep repeating the same BS over and over and over and over and over again. What? McDonald case is intriguing. He's not innocent. He's guilty as can be. So why am I even babbling on about this? Why am I going on about this? The Dylan Rounds case. The Dylan Rounds case, unbeknownst to some people, is not a national case. 99% of the country has no idea who Dylan Rounds is, nor do they care. There's only a very, very small percentage of people that even know about the Dylan Rounds case or even care about the Dylan Rounds case. That people is a couple of thousand people on YouTube outside of, people that live out there. So some people think that this is such a major national case. It's not even close. It's nowhere near any big case. Court TV is not covering it. Like, I think, a little channel here and there is covering it. Fox News put out some lame little press. It's just not a national thing. Most people don't care. But it seems so big because we keep talking about it. But as one thing to keep people alive, to keep something alive, to keep it going, I get it. But Facebook isn't blowing it up either. Like, it's just very small. Yeah, even Summer Wells, and that was even bigger. But what happens is when a case doesn't go viral the way people want it to, or a case doesn't blow up the way some people expect it to, or they're a YouTuber who's making a ton of money on a case and they don't want to lose that. And that we've seen a lot. Dylan Rounds case, again, is a very, very small case. But here's the thing. Why else do you think that so many people, or not so many, but I would say so many in this little community are grasping for that drama and want that drama? They don't want facts. They don't want proof. They want drama. They want something to talk about. They don't care if it's true or not. Hey, Jason, I'm very excited to have you on. I know my subscribers are very happy to have you on. I cannot wait until we interview. You are the first person in a long time that agrees with me that the family did not do anything and that Lou was right. Lou Spitz was right. So I'm very excited to talk to you about it. And at any time, if you want to jump on tonight, Jason, I don't have a problem with that either. Just let me know. Avery, you too. So I was listening to Tyler tonight, and I just couldn't believe the level of bullshit that I was hearing. And, you know, I'm going to play some of it because I know that Tyler doesn't care. But there's certain parts of it that blew my mind, like literally blew my mind, because these people in his chat were like longing for this drama and longing for just bullshit information. And it was bullshit information. Like, and I'll play it, but for example, one of the things that were said was that the what you call it, one of the things that was said were that why is nobody from Dylan Round's family coming out besides the parents? So I did some research. Please show me what cousins or minor children have come out to talk about their missing relative. Can anyone name one? Just name one that who's someone's cousin came out to talk about them. Or if the only brothers or sisters they had were minors, they're obviously not going to come out and talk about them. Hey, Athena, so if someone can show me a case where all these family members that aren't the parents came out and spoke to the media, please let me know. Because I have not, I tried looking up different cases, and mostly it's just the parents and an older brother or sister if they're not minors, or like an ex-husband, something like that. Thank you, Tina. Exactly right. So Jim throws out there, and again, this is not technically about Jim, but Jim throws out there this fact. How come none of the families out there? How come none of the families saying anything? Why is it only the parents? That's just so weird. No, that's actually kind of normal. His only brother is a minor. He's not going to come speak to the media. His cousins, show me Lacey Peterson's cousins. Show me anybody's cousins that came out to speak on their behalf. That would be none. None. Did you consider Brian Dirty Laundry case? Even Brian Laundry. Who spoke for Gabby Petito? Her parents. That's it. Her cousins didn't come out. Yeah, his sister, because she's not a minor. Brian, now you got me confused. Dylan Rounds' brother is a minor. He's not going to come speak to the media. He's younger than Dylan. So that's not going to happen. But other than that, the only people that stood up for Gabby, besides the general public, were her parents. Even Kylie and Crystal's family, her father, Crystal's father was the biggest spokesperson. You didn't see any cousins and stuff. You saw the parents. Thank you, Jason. So I'm listening to him spew this stuff, and all 2,000 people in Tyler's chat are eating this up. And 2,000 people in Tyler's chat are saying, you know what? You're so right, Jim. Jim, you're so right. And I'm sitting there going, where is he right? I'm like, guys, wake up. That is sensationalism. He has no idea what he's talking about. Because if he really dealt with missing children, he would know that speaking to the public, nobody knows anything. I mean, the only people that come out are representatives of the child that's missing, which is the parents. So then he goes on to say, then get down. So then he goes on to say that the FBI knows nothing because they're not releasing anything. I'm sorry, but a PI would know. Shut up. But a PI would know that the FBI is not going to release anything. This is the FBI. There is a reason the Federal Bureau of Investigation doesn't release info to the public. They are, besides the military, they are probably, correct me if I'm wrong, but they are probably the most elite the group, or I don't know what the right wording is, but the most elite group, and they wouldn't be the FBI if they went and blabbed to people. From what I was told from an FBI agent that I know, they're not even technically allowed to tell their wife things. You know, like if they're working on a case, like a mafia case, that's super, super, super quiet, they can't even tell their wife. The only people they're allowed to, or their husband, the only people they are allowed to discuss many cases with are the ones working on the case. They can't even necessarily release it to another FBI agent who's not working the case. It has to be people working the case. So when I hear Jim say, oh, it doesn't matter, you know, the FBI must be hiding stuff. Hey, Lily, the FBI must be hiding stuff. No, the FBI isn't hiding stuff. The FBI is doing exactly what the FBI does. And that's keeping their mouth shut. I'm sure they have plenty of information that they're not releasing. Just like, and since Jason's here, the Kylan and Crystal case. I'm sure there was plenty of evidence that they had before we did. Even before Jason. Like, they just don't do that. And when I hear all of these people in chat agreeing with him, I have to look at the creator and say, Tyler, you are allowing this bullshit sensationalism to run rampant in your chat and not correct it. Even to the point, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, something Jim Terry said tonight destroyed every ounce of credibility this man has, in my opinion. And I'll explain. There was a letter that Tyler and Kim had gotten from some dude in Canada. The second I read it, I'm like, oh my God, this is the biggest bunch of shit I've ever heard. And Tyler laughed. He's like, well, maybe. I said, Tyler, I'm going to show you why it's fake. And I explained it to him and Kim why I believe that, or why I knew this letter was totally fake. And I proved it in both our opinions. Like he said, yeah, I guess I can see that. And there were too many like little things. And you guys remember I did it with the letter and I showed you guys why it was completely fabricated. And then tonight, and I know Tyler and Kim were like, yeah, I guess you're right. And it turns out I was. I mean, nothing came of it. And I think we all kind of forgot about it. So, and you know, Tyler and Kim like put it on the back burner. So all of a sudden, Jim says tonight, now, mind you, Tyler and Kim have uncovered some good stuff. They've spoke to some good people. They've talked to good people. So there has been solid stuff that he's done. And Kim's done a lot of research. And even research, like if I said something, she explored it. If she said something, I, explored it. So exactly, Margaret. So going back to his letter, though, and Tyler knows he's done some good stuff. Him and Kim have done some good stuff for this case. Like, so don't get me wrong. They know it. Hey, Captain. So all of a sudden, JT says, by the way, guys, the most important piece of this evidence. Oh, I was, Athena. No, I didn't see when JT and you called her out. That I didn't see. But I see what you're saying. No, I didn't see where you called her out. I wasn't watching chat. So all of a sudden, he's like, the most influential fact, the thing that broke the case wide open was this letter that Tyler got from Canada. And I was like, what? That letter was the biggest, phoniest, fakest letter I have ever seen in my entire life. How could you even think that this is real? And he's like, and in my opinion, that letter's real. If Jim truly believes that this letter is real, his any credibility is done. Because I don't have any formal training in being a PI or an investigator. I have a year and a half, 2 years of my master's in criminal justice, but we didn't even get this far. Like, I think I did one class in investigations up to this point. You know what I mean? So even I can look at it and knew that it was fake as fuck. It was so blatantly obvious that the guy was full of shit. And Jim said that was the most, oh, you know what, Ranger? I never even thought of that. That wouldn't surprise me either. It absolutely wouldn't surprise me either. But I just could not believe. He did. He thinks the letter is real. He said, I believe that letter is real. But now that you say that, Ranger, that makes perfect sense. Tennille, I went through the entire thing and this has nothing to do with Jim. That I'm just saying that I couldn't believe he said that. I actually went through the letter on a live with Tyler and showed why it was nonsense. And I did it piece by piece. I can do it again if you want. I mean, I don't have a problem doing it again. That is the best theory I have heard, Ranger, just to make him look good. Huh? No, I agree with that. I think that makes a lot of sense. But I think Jim actually likes that letter because this letter's fake and says how he's gay and he had this affair with him and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the whole letter was nonsense. So, Captain Avi, I don't want to get off track here, but Dr. Latina was in Tyler's chat kissing the ass of Jim Terry. It was comical. So, yeah. Jim said that his mod was in Canada. Did he have it sent? That's very, very interesting. Ranger, that's a good one because I never even thought of that. He said Dylan's dead letter says he's alive. Yeah, I don't believe he's alive. And the other thing, before I play the clips, the other thing is, too, that here's the fourth thing I have a problem with sensationalism, is you're not helping a case by completely putting out all this false rumor. You are not helping a case by telling your subs that it's okay to believe in this bullshit gossip. You're not helping your subs and I'm not saying the bullshit gossip that Jim is putting out. I'm saying in general that they're all putting out. Hang on, I'll send you a link. Oh. There you go. And it just blows my mind. I posted a week ago. I'm going over the John Bonet case. Oh, did you really? I actually haven't even thought about it until I went to Twitter. I was like, whoa. John Bonet back in the news. All right, so while I'm waiting for Jason, I was getting sick listening to this level of, I mean, I understand drama makes money. I get it. Believe me, I spent a lot of time in the drama community. I spent 3 years in the drama community. I get it. I get that it makes money. I get that it brings you. Hey. Hey, Jason.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. So what do you think about what I've been saying as a PI? If you don't know who this is, if you came in late, this is Jason Jensen. He was the PI that found Kylie and Crystal, and we are upcoming and going to be doing a show on JonBenet Ramsey, and he wanted to join me tonight and talk about this as well from PI perspective, and here he is.
Hi, thank you for having me on your show, Laura. I don't want this turned to be a bashing session
No,
from
not at
me
all.
about any particular person, but yeah, I'd be happy to share my thoughts on
Okay.
sensationalism, when's it is appropriate, and other times, the do's and don'ts by even web sleuths, if you don't mind.
Okay.
That seems to be topic related.
Okay.
So, you have any questions, or you want me to just ramble on?
Go right ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a very interesting topic. It certainly, hits close to home for many of us because we do see when cases get sensationalized, and we wonder why this one, why not that one? Why does this person get so much attention while this one doesn't get any attention at all? And it's sad. It's a reality. Certain cases hit a chord for people, and so oftentimes it's organic that way. Where like Gabby Petito, a lot of people identified with that case because a lot of battered women saw the signs that the police in the August 12th video didn't recognize. Right? Everyone's sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, she's covering for her boyfriend. Why can't you see that? She's taking the blame. She wants to make sure that her boyfriend doesn't go to jail." That happens hundreds of times every day. And that's what really, in my opinion, what launched the Petito story, nationwide and internationally because of the domestic violence aspect. And,
But
and you know, and then sometimes you get people that are very good at marketing, and so they can gin up that kind of attention where something may not be as worthy for that kind of attention. People don't recognize it, or it's a small community, not a big city, that you're wondering, why is this taking all the oxygen out of the news cycle today?
it's going back to the Petito case.
Sure.
I didn't see it. I mean, obviously, it ended up that way. She was dead, but I never saw it. Like, I looked at it from a viewer perspective. And a viewer perspective, she was beating on him. She was the one that was the abuser. From when you look at it without emotion, I mean, do you know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people saw it the way I did, but didn't want to admit it because we knew the outcome. We knew what the end result was.
And that just goes to show you that we're not all cut from the same cloth. We're not wired the same. Some people will see one detail while others may not see it at all, right? So, it's not a wrong answer. It's just a different answer.
Mm-hmm. True. That's true. And so, what do you think about? You've been following the Dylan Rounds case somewhat because you're out there, right?
Yeah, it's a Utah matter, and I'm a Utah PI, and just like the rest of us, we all talk, right? It's something that we see in the news cycle, especially when it's something like a missing person or maybe a recent murder or something like that, or even a cold case that comes to my desk. It's something that we end up talking about because it is our community, and we sit back wondering, is someone going to call me? Am I going to get hired? Who's going to get this case? It's normal in our circles.
Okay. And what happens from a legal perspective when there's too much sensationalism on a case? Does it make your job harder? Do you end up going down leads that you shouldn't go down? Or you guys don't even look at the sensationalism?
Well, there's two sides to that story. On one hand, sensationalism can be used as a worthy tool because if the word spreads, it can get to the right person that may have some information that may, you know, get the case red hot and get something solved. On the other hand, if it, you know, if it draws too much attention in the wrong direction, it can actually serve uh, a hindrance or a barrier for prosecutors, for law enforcement, because, like, let's say, like on dealing rounds, there's a lot of unnecessary talk about whether the parents had something to do with this. There's no factual basis
Thank
behind
you.
that belief.
Yep.
So, so
Agree.
what you're doing when that happens is you're actually helping the killer when someone's brought to justice, and and they're brought before the court and they plead not guilty. You're helping that defense attorney build a defense strategy to get a guilty person out of the crime, because everybody's talking about this person or that detail or this suspect when none of that has factual relevance to the case. I mean, yeah, it's interesting when you start off with a case. When you start off with a case, you're using inductive reasoning. You're sitting back saying, we need to bring all the suspects into the room and we need to interview them all and figure out one by one using deductive reasoning and eliminate somebody till there's one suspect left in the room. But when
Okay.
here in Round's case, they have someone identified as a primary person of interest. We could call him a suspect, but then you still got the media and you still got social media and web sleuths and everyone still trying to say, oh, look at this distraction over here. Look at this interesting fact. This guy looks suspicious. It's like, no, in your mind it looks suspicious, but give us
Exactly.
facts.
Yep.
Why factually is it suspicious? Because he knows the guy. And one of the problems that I see from over sensationalization is now all of a sudden, if a witness comes forward or a friend comes forward, then there's a small segment of the population out there that all of a sudden launches attack against that person, and they read into every little thing. So, like earlier when you were talking about family members not coming forward, they're being protected for that very reason. If someone comes forward, someone's out there parsing their words and trying to read in between the lines when there's no lines to read. So they can sit back and say, wow, he was shifty. He looks guilty. Let me give you an example about the reason why polygraphs aren't admissible. A lot of people say, oh, it's because they're not reliable. And that is because all it's doing is measuring your blood pressure, your heart rate, sweat in your palms, and your respiration. So what happens is they're interpreting that to be fear. But since it's not a mind reader, it's like, are you afraid that you're going to be caught not telling the truth? Or are you afraid that you're not going to be believed? And so that's
So,
really the reason for it. It's like, how do they know I'm being honest? So if you're overthinking it and you're all wired up and you're sitting there going, they don't believe me, they don't believe me, you're not going to pass the polygraph. And everybody then that hears about it, oh, he failed the polygraph. Well, unless you've actually taken one, you don't know why. You don't understand the concept behind it, the technology. It's not a
what?
mind reader. It's a physiological reader. It's measuring your heart rate and your blood pressure and things that give you away if you're nervous. It's like, well, why are you being nervous? So what happens is it's a tool. So then they do a follow-up interview. To this question you answered this way, why? And then sometimes you trip up your answers, and sometimes as a tool it reveals the truth, because it's like someone all of a sudden, oh, what, I'm going to change my story. Well, when I said I didn't see him, I actually meant was I did see him, but it was while he was going out the door, I was going in the door, so I didn't think it mattered. And so so now all of a sudden the truth is slowly starting to come through, and you're wondering, why is the story changing? Right?
Yeah.
So sometimes sensationalizing is good, and sometimes it's not good, especially when you're starting to see law enforcement put the pieces together, prosecution starts to gin up, let them take over the case now, because that's what private investigators do. A good private investigator will assist law enforcement to acquire leads, and then what they do is they take that lead and they forward to law enforcement so that law enforcement can go do an interrogation. You're not going to try and do it yourself, because if I go talk to the suspect, the one thing that may happen is there may only be one interview, and I stole that from
Yeah.
the only entity that has the legal authority to build up a criminal investigation, a criminal prosecution, because you want justice in the criminal court. If I go talk to somebody and steal that one moment, and someone could have done it better than me, or they had, some questions that I wasn't aware of, now I just stole the moment, and it's not about me. It's about justice. It's about, getting the perp in behind bars.
I also think that, guys, I'm going to get to all your questions, I promise. And Sigma Man, you're wrong. I totally think that, and I've talked about this before, that so many people are under the assumption that when someone gets a lie detector test, they get 50 questions. And I've
No.
told them, lie detectors test, you get like 1 to 3. The max that a cop will give you is like 5 questions, and that's way over the max. They give you it's not like you see in the crime shows. It's literally 1, 2, or 3 questions on the norm. And sometimes they'll go to 4, but most likely 3 is max. And I think
Every
people just have this
every
misconception.
Yeah, every polygrapher I've ever met, they always fashion 3 questions.
Yep.
It's like, do you know what happened to this person? Are you responsible for what happened to this person? And maybe a twist or a combination of the two, because they're really trying to not pinpoint too specific, because you can really get around the emotional aspect of a question if it's too specific. Like, is the sky blue? There's no emotion to that, so you're not going to register to that kind of a question. But if it's something that you have to think about, because it's not a really clear question, do you know what happened to Bob? And you're
Mm-hmm.
going to think about it, right? All of a sudden, meters are going up, and you're like, well, what is this? How am I going to answer this? Do I know what happened to Bob? No. Well, why did it say that, that you actually do know what happened to Bob? Well, because I heard it from a friend, and he said that he probably is dead, and so you're going through now being asked questions. You're still wired, and you're still having a conversation, and they're reading it, but it's not necessarily the polygraph question. Then they go, because they just haven't unhooked you yet, right? So you're
Okay.
sitting talking, and it's an open dialogue, and you're like, well, I don't know what happened, but I think I know what happened. So, they try to get you early on, so you're not, confused with all the input that you've had from other sources and other
Okay.
individuals.
Okay. Couple things that I definitely want to ask you about as pertaining to Dylan Rounds, because this is where I think fact and fiction are meeting. It, real like quickly, because there's a bunch of questions. One, the mother is not acting guilty. The
No.
mother is acting like a mother who's on a mission to find her son's body, who believes that her son is gone based on what she's been told from the police, what she's done in her own investigation. She wants to have hope that her son is still alive, but according to everything she's been told, and this is the impression I'm getting, everything she's been told, her son is gone, and she's just on a mission, a one-way mission to find him. There's nothing fishy about it. She's not acting crazy. Her personal dealings have nothing to do with the case. Am I reading her wrong, or am I reading her right?
You're spot on. I mean, definitely, there's different ways people react to this kind of situation,
Mm-hmm.
and no one knows how they'll react until they're personally in that same situation.
I
And what I
agree.
see from Candace is like you described, someone that's determined.
Mm-hmm.
She's not she's not overly sorrowful, where some people would sit back and say, I don't see any tears, I don't see any emotion, because god damn it, she's pissed. That's
Exactly.
the reaction. In her
That.
mind, she's
Yep.
saying, God damn it, I'm pissed. What happened to my son? And she will have that moment when she will completely have that sorrowful emotional breakdown when this is behind her. But right now she's mad and she's determined. She
Yep.
wants to know what happened to her son. And she put her money where her mouth is, hoping that someone would come forward, because wherever the money came from, she found it, and that didn't work. So that tells her nobody knows except for the perp.
Yep.
Well, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. She's really
I
been quite masterful how she's conducted herself in this process, because not everybody has that same kind of um, strength that she's exhibiting. But a lot of people can misinterpret that as not strength, but as, like you described, guilt, because she's
Mhm.
not acting like a sad woman. She's not acting like, well, because she hasn't gotten her son into a coffin yet. When there's a funeral, oh, she'll be a completely different mom that day.
And that's what I say. And Avery, thank you for that. But language, he can curse all day on here. Um,
I was just being emphatic. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful to God.
so that was one thing. Another thing, and people talk about pertaining to something else. And when I say it, people like, no, you're wrong, but I know I'm not wrong. So as a professional, I hope you can back me up on this. People were talking about, well, she laughed. Well, is she supposed to cry 24/7? Of course she's going to laugh. She's not going to cry all the time. She's going to have, she's on in the public eye. She's going to laugh. She's going to have different emotions. She just will. And I think back to, and I mentioned it earlier, Ickmel when he interviewed Crystal's dad, or Kylan, I think it was Crystal's dad, when he interviewed Crystal's dad. And he laughed throughout the interview. Thank you, Avery. I was trying my best to distract him and make him laugh. Oh, um, you know, he laughed during that interview. He was still emotional during that interview, but he was also determined. He wanted to know what happened to his daughter and, her wife and who did this. And I saw many different emotions. So when I see and hear all these people coming after the mom because she's not crying, the first thing I think of is, what about all these fake parents that cry and sob, my poor kid? Think of Susan, what was Susan Smith, crying hysterically to the press that her kids, someone kidnapped her kids, only to find out she killed her kids. So when people say they want all this emotion, I'm like, why? It's probably not real, because real people don't do that. Real people are going to laugh at times. They may laugh at awkward moments. They may cry at some moments. They like, or they may be gung ho. So I wanted you to clear that up, that I wasn't wrong on that, because people, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. I'm not wrong. People are going to have different emotions.
Just because they lost a loved one doesn't mean that they can't have all their regular traits and personalities come out when appropriate. I mean, it's okay to hear a joke and laugh about it. It's okay to even tell somebody, talk, boast about your own daughter, even though they've lost theirs. They want to still continue with life. So they don't want to be treated differently just because they have a loved one missing. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say missing. That's ridiculous.
I agree. And hold on, the FBI is providing assistance for Dylan, not leading the case, from what I gathered earlier on Tyler's show. Is that correct? I don't know. They are leading it, right?
It is correct. Every case is, has their own level of jurisdiction, since, based on either the type of crime or the geography. So this happened in Utah. It did not happen on federal land. It happened in the county. It happened. So you're going to have, since it was Box Elder County, it's going to be a Box Elder County case. Now, if this had involved human trafficking over the border, then that would probably fall into FBI Providence. But since it's a missing person case, it was filed with the county, and they were smart enough to sit back and say, well, we need services that we don't have, in their own little teeny police station. So they turned to the FBI for their data forensics, and cell phone expertise.
Okay. See, I thought that the FBI was involved because it borders 3 states. Because like, all right, correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't have a body yet. So we don't, no body, no crime. And I don't see how they can say where it happened if they don't have a body yet. Do you know what I'm
Well,
saying?
that's where the cell phone data will likely identify where something happens when they get to that point.
Okay. And when you're working with a family, do you release any information about the case you're working on to the
Only if it's been properly decided with the client and that we have the client's blessing because there's a strategy.
Okay. And would you bring it, all right, as a PI, do you work with the family? Do you work with the police or do you work with both?
Well, the word with is certainly a conjunction that applies to all of that. You usually work for your client, so usually a family member in a missing persons case. But we work with law enforcement when we get a tip. We provide that to them. We certainly don't have a two-way communication. There's not a two-way flow of information from law enforcement because law enforcement has to maintain their criminal investigation integrity because their goal is to get prosecution without a lot of leaks, without a lot of problems that may come about once they reveal something that they no longer have control over. It's now in my hands or someone else's hands that may get leaked, and that may cause them some problem with the case presentation down the road if something that was harmful gets out to the public and now they only have themselves to blame because they shared it with me or shared it with the family and somebody had loose lips.
And all right, Ringo's been asking me to ask you this for a while. Hey brother, thanks for being here. Quick question. Any movement on Shannon Nye, Doug Hagee, or Elizabeth Agee from Elko that we talked about in April?
Oh boy. Say those names again.
What?
Say those names again.
It was um Shannon Nye, NYE.
Okay, so yeah, in Elko, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Doug.
I haven't heard anything. I reached out to Elko County offering some canine services for them to, go help find the additional body remains that were never recovered in hopes to identify potentially the cause of death, since that really hasn't been identified because they only recovered a few bones. So they knew that there was a death because it was definitely identified from DNA whose bones they were. But because they were scattered abroad because of predation, you couldn't tell if they died of natural cause or if they died, of a gunshot wound or something like that, because you don't have the entire skeleton reconstructed to identify where there may be tool markings or a shotgun hole or something.
Okay. And back to Dylan Rounds for a second. When it comes to Dylan's case, is Utah like one of the debates that we've had online is what classifies forensic evidence. So I was saying maybe they found uh, case shellings. What are they called? Bullet shellings, the cases, whatever they're called. After you shoot a gun, the
Shell casings.
shell casings. Thank you. Maybe they found shell casing and that's a forensic. And then other people said the forensic was this or the forensic is a cell phone. By Utah law, what is classified as forensic evidence?
Well, it doesn't even have to be in Utah. The term forensic evidence is actually, just out of the dictionary. Forensic means court, and evidence means something that would be admissible in a trial process. So you're talking something that could be admitted to the court as evidence of, proven guilt, or who's responsible, or that would identify some source, some whatever proof you're looking for to prove an action, or in this case, it would be a criminal action. So it could range anything from digital forensics, like from the phones, or ballistics, like you're describing, from shell casings or something like that. It could be fingerprints. It could be DNA, and and we go on. But basically, it's any evidence that would be used for court, and that's what forensic means.
So for them to make, and this is just my own logic, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but for them to name Jim Brenner as a suspect and bring him in on charges based on a gun kind of led me to believe it's probably shell casings that they found that tied him, like maybe those shell casings tied him to the illegal guns. And that's why that was the forensic evidence connecting him to Dylan's murder. But that's just my own logic.
Right, and that is a good logical conclusion. Doesn't mean that you're ultimately going to be proven correct, but
Yeah.
that's a reasonable assumption to sit back and say, well, because there's guns searched for, maybe there was casings that led them to believe that they're
Mhm.
looking for guns. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. If there wasn't shell casings, they might have looked in different directions, or they might have only hinged everything that they're looking for to figure out what happened to Dylan was just simply from cellular data. So, but your use of logic seems to be pretty solid, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's we're not mind readers. We don't know if
Yeah, I
that's
know.
accurate until they come forward.
That's what I'm saying. Like I could be right, I could be wrong, but that's where my logic went, that I can't think of, and someone was saying no, forensic evidence could be, this the ping on the cell phone. I'm like, but that's not really evidence. So that's why I was
Well,
wondering
it can be evidence. It depends how it's used. I mean, certainly, if you're
to
trying to
name a
locate
suspect
somebody,
though,
if you're trying to locate somebody, a ping on the tower would tell you where they're at in distance from the tower.
even to name a suspect though, that you
Not
can
necessarily to name a suspect, unless, of course, because the Kylan and Crystal case did the same thing. They were using cell tower data from a tower dump to figure out who could have done this to them, and we are believing that Adam Pinkowitz's phone was there at the time of the murder, which would make him the prime suspect using cell tower, a ping like you described. So if in the situation here we're assuming that from tower data, uh, Dylan's phone stopped working, while at the same time Brenner's phone was working in close proximity to Dylan's phone, that would be evidence from tower data showing who would likely be the suspect.
Oh, that makes sense. I didn't even think of that. That makes perfect sense. If the last ping where Dylan was the same exact ping that Brenner was, yeah, that's logical. I never even thought of that. What else? There were a bunch of other questions that I had that I just wanted to clear up from. All right, in your expertise, people asked me before and I didn't say, and I forgot to ask, can you tell everyone your credentials as a PI?
My credentials, you mean
Yeah.
my, like, from my curriculum vitae, my experience, my education? That's what you're
Military
asking?
background, police background, retired cop, that kind of stuff.
I'm not an ex police officer. I do have former military, but it wasn't like investigations. Like, I wasn't in CDI or anything like that. My 28 years of experience is a combination of legal, because I was in a law firm for 14 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
in the last 15 years, I've been a private investigator, self-employed. So my background is from a legal background, and it's not from law enforcement.
So you were a lawyer?
No, I was a paralegal. And the
Oh,
last 7 years, I was a civil rights investigator.
right on. All right. What made you want to become a PI?
At the time, paralegals worked for
Yeah.
attorneys. My attorney retired, so I was given an option at that point. Do I want to go work for another firm? Do I want to work for government? Do I want to, do something else? And I came across the Private Investigator Act, and so I saw that I was qualified. So I thought, well, let's try being self-employed and being a private investigator. Because one of the things, if you look on my website, I have a copyrighted uh, trademark that says "Get the evidence your attorney needs to win," because that's one of the things I saw as a paralegal. Oftentimes, when we lost, it's not because we didn't have the heart or the right arguments. Sometimes you didn't have the evidence.
Okay.
So I
Speak.
thought, well, as a private investigator, I could help clients get the forensic evidence they need to make a make a good presentation for a judge in the future.
Right on. Speaking of evidence on YouTube in general, and I've done it too. So I'm not saying I'm not downing anyone for doing this, but in general, as YouTubers and as YouTube audience, and we're all sleuths, one of the things that we seem to do is name people that we think are shady, even though the FBI or the police have never picked them up. And from what you said in the beginning, that kind of can hurt a case because it can let an innocent person, I mean, a guilty person go.
Right, right. That's exactly the case. That's where sensationalism isn't good for a case, because it's okay at the very, very beginning if you're trying to determine, is this person missing because they're off on a holiday? Is this person
Okay.
missing because of foul play? Is this person missing for some other reason? That's fine and dandy, because then if I start suspecting foul play, well, who would be responsible? So it's okay to start pulling together. That's your inductive reasoning, trying to identify all the potential suspects. But then you got to get to a point where you're starting to eliminate them. But the problem that I see is people go after the same ones and regurgitate it and share it around, and it bounces from one channel to the next, and it gets nowhere. Everyone's just beating up the same people. And as a prime example from the Kylan and Crystal case, my gosh, they beat up about 20 different people that had nothing to do with this and whose reputations are still tarnished. Legally, that is defamation per se. And the reason why it's defamation per se, not just defamation, is per se means you don't have to prove damages
Yep.
if you were the victim of it. You could sue them and win damages just because it's the type of defamation that is used makes it per se. As anything involving criminal activity, uh, the the chastity of a woman, if it's pertaining to your profession, and there's a couple other less used examples. But when people are calling someone a murderer or a racist, that's defamation per se, and that's instant grounds for a lawsuit. It's just that these people typically don't have the money or the time or the patience to go sue the person that's defaming them. And people tend to think that if they say, in my opinion, they got to get out of jail free card, or if they say, oh, I'm exercising my First Amendment right. It's like, well, then where does defamation come in? You don't have a unbridled right to defame people. I can say, that guy looks suspicious or something, but I certainly don't blab names to that. And, I may have that conversation with a client, but I don't name names until it's time to name a name, not
Okay.
all these names, right? You don't start throwing around names and say, this isn't a movie plot where everyone's there voluntarily and it's just a
Great.
no, no. If you're telling the public that Joe looks like a criminal, better have defamation insurance.
So let me ask you this then, a two-part question of this. As a creator, who I mean, like I said, I do speculate, I do call it out, but at the end of the day, I am about facts. And I'm not about sensationalizing something. It's why I cut ties with Jim weeks ago, because I didn't want that sensationalism. I want facts. And when I found out that nothing was facts, I cut ties.
Right.
Now, as a creator, do we, and then we have people coming in our chat, um I don't want to say regurgitating because that's kind of negative, but talking about what they heard on other streams. Do we just say we're only going to discuss facts here and don't worry about all that sensationalism? Don't worry about until the police announce it, because we know mainstream media isn't all that reliable. But do we wait for the police to announce it? Do we wait for a press conference? Like, how do we become responsible creators to knock out all the BS sensationalism?
Right. Well, eventually, social media will catch up with traditional media, where there'll be some kind of rules or some kind of best practices that we'll all adopt, because once that first person gets sued, then it'll kind of like cause a chilling effect for everybody. But typically, what the media does, traditional media, is they say alleged, or if somebody like a guest says something, well, he's innocent until proven guilty. They'll do that kind of stuff to protect themselves from the liability. And it's like, or they put the little disclaimer at the bottom that the views of the guests are not necessarily reflective of
Yeah, I've
know,
said that. I'm
that
like,
kind of stuff. So you, as the creator and the platform, needs to protect yourself, and there needs to be certain guidelines that we all follow. But certainly, causing anxiety for somebody is definitely a cause of action. If you're sitting there saying, "Oh, Candace Cooley is a criminal. She's guilty." What the hell? She's already going through enough knowing
that's
that
what I
her
said.
son's missing, and now I'm being blasted for being responsible for my son that I love, and there's no evidence. It's not like someone's coming forward and saying, "Oh, in 1997, you had Dylan removed and for neglect or something that we're basing this theory on." Now you're judging her based on some video clip. You don't even know the woman. You've never interviewed her. You're not a psychologist. You can't make those assessments from your side of a monitor in your living room. That's just professionally irresponsible. You can
And I
sit back and say, I don't see her crying. Well, that doesn't make her a criminal, but that's a fact.
hmm
Everything else construed from that not crying is a conclusion, and that's at risk for making a wrong conclusion. It's like, oh, I don't see any tears. She's guilty. Oh, no, no, that's irresponsible, and that's certainly, you're not qualified to make those kinds of assessments, and you're certainly not able to read somebody's mind. You just sit back and go, hmm, she's not reacting the same way I would have reacted. That's fair game, but
and
that
I
doesn't
agree with
mean
that.
she's a criminal.
And Tina, let me I I think the word speculation here is getting out of context. What I have always said, so it's not a surprise, and what I believe Jason is saying is there's nothing wrong with speculating if the speculation is based on facts. What hurts, like if we were all to speculate why Jim Brenner would do this, why did Jim Brenner do this? Why would Jim go at that kind of speculation is fine because he is already named as a suspect and he's the only suspect. But
Right,
to then blame Kurt and all these people going after Kurt, that can hurt Jim's case. Because if enough people are putting this on Kurt, and I'm just using Kurt as an example, if enough people are putting this on Kurt, then guess what? Jim Brennan can walk free because the cops now are confused. Why is everybody saying it's Kurt? And now they're bringing an innocent person instead of putting it on their main suspect. That's what Jason's saying. So it's okay to speculate, but speculate on the facts that are known. And I absolutely agree with that. And I've said that all along.
right, because all you're doing, once they've identified a key person and you're talking about somebody else, at some point that person will hire a defense attorney, and that's the kind of law firm I worked for. For for 14 years. I would build defenses for people. So, we didn't really have the social media platforms back then that we do now, but I would be taking notes as the attorney for this suspect, and I'd be going, okay, we're going to build our defense around Kurt. And so now law enforcement, when they're going to trial, not only do they have to prove that my client did it, but now we're presenting an alternate theory that they'll have to prove is not true. So they'll have to prove that Brenner did it and prove that Kurt or anybody else didn't do it, or even the own victim's mom. It's like, okay, we're going to prove that Brenner did it, and we've got to prove that Candace didn't do it. Well, that seems ridiculous just to say it. So let's not go there.
And I'm going to address Chad for a second. I'm going to address you. Sigmund, your mentality is the problem of these communities. And I'm going to explain why in a second. When you say, oh, the cops don't care what YouTube thinks, we're not talking about the cops. We're talking about a jury. The jury is watching YouTube. It has nothing to do with what the cops do. It's YouTube juries. Any single person can get called on jury duty who's sitting in Jim's stream saying how much she loves Jim. If she gets called for jury duty, she's going to listen to all of the things that Jim Terry has said. And all of a sudden, Jim Brennan is innocent because Kurt did it or the mother did it. That's the point we're making. It has nothing to do with the cops. My second question, since you know the law, you'll understand this. Is the Denny law only in Wisconsin or is it nationwide?
Yes, it's one that I'm not familiar with. So it's obviously, I'm leaning on your styled question. It must be just Wisconsin law because I don't recognize it here in Utah.
Okay, the Denny law, I knew it was Wisconsin just because I covered Making a Murderer for 2 years, but the Denny law is that a defense attorney is, I mean, it's really dumb, but a defense attorney is not allowed to put reasonable doubt in a jury's mind by stating that, possibly this person did it. They have to meet a certain criteria of who, what, when, where, why, or how, and there has to be definitive proof that this other person could be a suspect. Otherwise, a defense attorney is not allowed to even mention them. There's no possible alternatives unless they meet this stringent criteria. So I've never heard it in other states. Everyone wants to put reasonable doubt, but Wisconsin has this really weird Denny law. And I just wasn't sure if it was everywhere or if it was strictly because I never heard it in other states.
Right. And what has to happen here in Utah is before the judge will allow a defense like that to go in front of a jury, it's got to be a motion that's actually been heard by the judge before, because if it won't pass the legal test, he's not going to allow it in front of a jury for a factual test.
Okay.
Because the judge is the trier of fact, and the judge is the trier of the law, and the jury is the trier of fact.
Okay. My other question about the FBI and Dylan Rounds. How long do the police, the FBI, something, wait to arrest someone? What I mean by that is, if there were other suspects, wouldn't someone else be in jail already?
Yes. Under the typical process of a federal case is once they have probable cause, and that's the same level for a search, it's the same level for arrest. Once they have probable cause, they will arrest the suspect and then make that suspect's name known so that all those that have information out there will come forward and help construct a trial case, as opposed to, most state courts, what they'll do is they collect all the evidence first and then file charges. But, the public may not know that there's someone out there with some information because they haven't even revealed a name. They dance around and call them a person of interest for 15 years. And nothing ever happened. So they sit back and say, well, maybe that wasn't really a good person of interest in the first place.
And what if, all right, so they have Jim Brenner in jail.
Right.
So far, they're his only suspect.
Right.
If there was someone else involved, a main player, I mean, there's only 35 people in the town to begin with, but if there was a main player or another player, would he have been arrested already?
I would believe so, yes.
Okay. And since the FBI did do some digging, if they thought that somebody else was involved and they told local police X, Y, and Z are involved, and local police didn't do anything, is it FBI's job to come in and say, why didn't you arrest this person? Or can they take power over that and make sure that person's arrested? Or that's not how it works out there?
No, if they're not late on the case, they won't make those decisions.
Okay. So, because I'm just saying, like, everyone says how that area is so, like, the police are so lackadaisical and they just don't care enough. So that's why I'm wondering if, FBI said check out X, Y, and Z, or they uncovered something in X, Y, and Z, and then they just have done nothing.
Well, it's my understanding that Box Elder County has done an outstanding job. I have friends that have friends there that, just because they don't make it public, it doesn't mean they're not doing anything. Now, it's my understanding there was a few days of a lag at the beginning, and that's pretty typical of any jurisdiction because
Okay.
they'll sit back and wonder if there's really a disappearance yet or if it's just simply, somebody's off on a holiday.
Okay. So all this speculation about it could be this one, it could be that one, should
We're
be
past
wiped
that
out.
point.
We're
Yeah, we're
past.
past that point. They're to the point where they've identified a suspect, they've filed certain charges, just like in the Gabby Petito Brian Laundrie case. They initially filed some charges against Brian Laundrie for his illegal use of Gabby Petito's, debit card or
Mm-hmm.
credit card, but that's because they needed to get him behind bars if they could, and they wanted to be able to have that authority to go snooping around, the bank records and stuff like that. But they're not going to charge him with everything under the sun until they're ready for those other charges. So they file something that's easy to make a case, and then they go from there.
Just
So
to
what
get it
they'll do, so what they'll end up doing is, superseding charges where they may add more or even reduce some, change some as their case grows stronger or in a different direction.
Okay. The FBI, and because this came up tonight too, the FBI, the local police, the mom, the family, from a professional PI perspective, none of these people are going to talk. None of these people are going to release any information to anybody because they can't, correct?
That is correct. And certainly one of the things that you have as a problem when you're sensationalizing it is once others see that, my gosh, this person was badgered in social media or that one person was slandered or whatever, everybody else goes in lockdown because they don't want to be the next victim of social media.
Okay. And how in Utah, since you're out there, now, when I was living in California, I've lived in California, I lived in Vegas. It was always an ongoing joke. You want to kill someone? Get them in the desert. Just drop them in the desert. There's people that get, on the way from California to Vegas. There's this open land and it's all desert and you'll never find someone. In Utah, from the pictures I've seen from a local, it absolutely looks like you'll never find someone. What are the odds that they're going to find him?
I think they're high.
Really?
It's just a matter of time. They got to find the right formula to get Brenner to speak because if they threaten him with capital punishment and then strike a deal, that can be the way around this. Or they can talk to the attorney and the attorney can sit back and tell his own client, hey, they got you. You'll get a lighter sentence if we work with them. The only thing they're caring about right now is the return of you're a victim. They all know you did something. There's nothing we can do to get around it. So we might as well mitigate where we can.
Now, in a situation, I mean, I've never spoken to Brenner. I don't know much about him other than, what we're told. What are the odds that he's even going to talk? I mean, you're talking like in New York, gun charges used to get you life. Like they didn't play around. But in Utah, guns are everyone's got one. So even if it was an illegal gun, that's only still going to get you a couple of years, right?
Well, that just depends. I mean, under the federal system, there's a sentencing guidelines, so he's going to be charged for the gun if he was illegally possessing it under 18 Code US 3 922 and some subparagraph. And then there's a matrix that they'll follow at the time of sentencing, but they may even take that enhancement off the table if as a negotiating tool. So we don't know what's going on behind the scenes because we're either not with the U.S. Attorney's Office or the Box Elder County Sheriff or the FBI or whatever little meetings that they're having. We don't know what they're talking about or who's going to do what or what offers are going to be made. So the thing that's really the U.S. Attorney's Office is famous for is, we're coming to get you and we're not going to talk about it. So kind of really that silence is more eerie and scary than anything else. It's like, nope, we got trial set in 90 days. Ooh, snap.
I just feel like if if I was if I killed someone and I knew that I acted alone and I knew that there was nobody to rat on me, I never told a soul, no, I'm the only one that can admit it. And I'm a criminal already and I'm facing life, maybe death. I don't know if there's death penalty out there, but life, maybe death if I open my mouth, or I could just keep my mouth shut, do my couple of years and they can't prove anything. I would
Well,
definitely opt to keep my mouth shut and never say a word if I know
well,
that nobody can rat me out.
well. That's a day gone by philosophy. Corpus delicti is, a 17th century understanding. It was developed because many times somebody, in old colonial days or something like that, would hop on a ship and go back to Europe and be there for 2 or 3 years, come back, and they're like, oh, Mr. Smith, you're back. It's like, well, yeah, why? I went and visited my mother who was ill. And they're like, well, we thought you were dead and we prosecuted your neighbor. He hung by the gallows 2 years ago. That doesn't happen anymore because nowadays going to England and staying in communication is really easy. Internet, phones, you name it. There's no way that someone's going to take off for years at a time that isn't going to be a serious issue now because it's like, wow, where's Bob? It's not like Bob not to call every Sunday.
Yeah.
So it's a different era now, and with DNA and blood evidence and things like that, you can tell someone was dead. Whereas in 1785, there was
Yeah.
no way that someone could tell that there was a murder in my log cabin because I cleaned it up. Now with Blue Star or the
Yeah.
the public still calls it luminol, but with Blue Star, and you can see that there was a cleanup over here and blood smear everywhere. It's like, oh, this is what happens when someone's dead, right? So that right there is a good sound start for a no body homicide in prosecution.
Now, the police out there, because this was my other theory tonight. Allegedly, I've not seen it myself, but allegedly, Chase was cleared as a suspect. Would a cop or would the police, if they're not getting anything out of James Brenner, would they release him hoping that he's going to talk? Or is it kind of like double jeopardy? Once you're cleared, they can't recharge you?
Oh yeah, well he can be charged at any time because double jeopardy attaches when there's a trial.
Okay.
So you can dismiss a charge without prejudice. The only
Yeah.
time that jeopardy attaches is if there was a trial. Once you impanel a jury, That's the only time that double jeopardy
Okay.
attaches.
Okay. But would the police release him thinking maybe he'll talk? And that's why they're saying he's not a suspect. But if they're not getting it, like, this is my criminal mind thinking that if they can't get anything out of Jim, well, all right, let's do this. Chase is a meth head. He's not the brightest guy in the world. He's been in trouble. He's the type of guy that's going to get high and probably talk. So let's let him go. Let's see what he does. Let's clear him as a suspect. Let him think he's free and clear to go out there and run his mouth, and then we have something. Or follow him, maybe tag him a little, see if he goes to a body, something. Is that something they would do, or is that just my CSI head?
Well, it can be the scenario, but it doesn't necessarily have to be, because oftentimes they'll another strategy might be that they put him behind bars and give him a cellmate to see if there's some kind of gel conversation. Um, but it's possible, release the guy, put a tracker on his car, see if he leads us to a burial site or a storage unit or something. Any of that is possible. It doesn't mean that that's likely what they're doing. It might just simply be his usefulness ran its course and he's no longer detained because we don't have anything further on him. Sometimes freedom rings, right? And
Yeah.
that you just gotta let the guy go if you don't have anything more to hold him on.
Yeah, because he was also, and correct me if I'm wrong, chat, and thank you, Avery. It's something about that he was also arrested on guns or illegal guns or something. I think I'm pretty sure, right? That's what Chase was arrested on.
No, he was arrested on a fugitive warrant out of Montana. So
Oh,
he wasn't actually brought in on charges from Utah. So they detained him and they were holding him there for extradition back to Montana. And what if the Montana authorities say, "Oh, we're not going to drive out there and pick him up. It's not that big of a deal." Now Utah would have to release him.
okay. Now, from a legal perspective, what I have a hard time understanding is if you don't have a body, you can't do any criminal analysis, you can't do an autopsy. How can they eliminate certain suspects? I can see how they can name certain suspects without a body. But how do you eliminate suspects if you have no body, no fingerprints, no nothing?
Well, that's where I believe the cell tower data comes in handy because if, for instance, Chase had a phone and it was active and you could tell that he was 100 miles away, he's not going to be identified as a suspect the day of the last ping of Dylan's phone, but perhaps Brenner's phone is right there active. And you would still keep him in that pool of suspects because he's still in close proximity to either the perceived crime scene or the perceived victim of a crime.
Yeah, but that's assuming that he has his own phone. For example,
Oh,
uh,
I know.
I could leave my phone at my mom's house in Florida and commit a crime in Alabama, and if by cell phone ping, I was in Florida the whole time.
Right, right, but it was also inactive that whole time, so that still
Maybe
gives you
not.
the window. That still would give you the window of opportunity that they would understand. They would estimate how long it would take you to go from your last active use of your phone, go all the way to Alabama, and go back to Florida before your phone was active again. And they would actually question you on that. We see that you were sending messages and doing this at 10 a.m. At 2:37 p.m. you were doing activity. What were you doing between 10 and 2? They would do that.
So what if now that I know this information, Mom, I'm going to call my phone. Make sure you call me back. Mom, make sure you use my phone. There's something wrong with the battery. Make sure you use it every half hour. I just got away with murder.
No, it would show that you didn't answer the phone. It would show that your phone received the call and it went to voicemail.
What about if I told my mom to make a call out?
So she's participating in your
In my murder spree.
yeah, now she's a co-party to this until she says, my daughter asked me to do this weird stuff. She's never asked me to do this before. Oh, you're questioning her about a murder?
Oh,
Maybe
I gotcha. I gotcha.
they know how to get people to talk. They know how to get people to share information because your mom's going to think that you're innocent. Just she's going to sing like a canary. She's going to say, "Yeah, yeah, this happened. That happened. There must be a logical explanation for that. Go talk to her." Like, oh, snap. Mom, you're not supposed to say anything to the police. Innocent until proven guilty. Uh, right to remain silent. It's like, well, it seemed pretty serious. I was looking out for you. I wasn't trying to make my silence suggest that we're both guilty of something.
Okay, so what if it was actually a friend who, forget mom? I just say because she's in Florida, but mom, your best friend, your ex husband, somebody, someone you trust. Hey, make sure you call my phone call me. I left my phone there. There's something wrong with it. Just make sure that you call somebody. Call anyone you want every half hour, every hour. I come back the next day, take my phone, and all's well.
Right.
2 months
But
later,
but
this.
once the police learn that you're the dead ex-husband's ex-wife, they're going to come ask you. They're going to ask your friends. They're going to do all this stuff to vet your story. They're going to see that your phone was active. They're going to go to your friend whose phone was in the same room as your phone, saying, "Why are you calling from?" You know,
Oh, I gotcha.
there's
Okay.
no way around. Your cell phones are our biggest snitches in the 21st century. No matter what you do, it's the lack of activity gives you away, or the activity in proximity to the crime gives you away. Either way, you know, our biggest enemy right now is your cell phone,
Okay. So what if, let's go one
including like
step
when you're including stuff like when you're googling how to bury a body, or before that, or what chemical is good to look like a heart attack. These
further. True.
these things happen. Or wow, your dead ex-husband's phone has a nasty text message from you 2 weeks ago saying, "I'm going to kill you, you dirty sob," and you're like, I didn't say that. No, it's from your. There's just no way around it. No
Zero.
matter what, people aren't that cool and calculated that they can get away with stuff like that. Their phone always gives them away.
When I was in I went through a 6 year tumultuous custody fight from the depths of hell. And that's one of the things the judge had made a point to say that I could lock the two of you guys up for years based on these emails and text messages that you two send each other. So it just reminded me of that when you said that. Um, my other question, speaking of a cell phone, you and a friend switch phones. He takes your phone, you take his phone. One of you is involved in a murder or something major. The
Right.
cops come to your door 4 weeks later, 5 weeks later. You don't remember you two switch phones for a few hours,
Oh, I think you'd remember.
you think?
There's no doubt in my mind if a month from now someone's knocking on my door and says Bob's suspected of a murder, but he was using your phone, you'd be like, oh, well, yeah, he borrowed my phone, or there's just no way around it. I'm not going to do time for Bob's murder.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know. I'm hooked on the cell phone thing. And, but that's it. I mean,
Well, that's where people try to get away with it by using a burner phone. But even a burner phone, it's going to ping. They're going to either going to do the research on the phone. They're going to see where the SIM card was activated. They're going to see where the phone was purchased. As a throwaway phone. Oh, it was purchased from a Kmart down the street from. Oh, look at this. The dead ex-husband's ex-wife shopped at that store. From the self-checkout video screen, here she is buying the darn thing. No, there's just no way
interesting.
around it. It happens all the time. I use that same process to look for somebody that stole a handbag and used someone's credit card. It's the same process that I use that law enforcement uses. There's just no way around it.
And so these burner phones are not safe either. People
No,
think, let me get a burner phone, and they're not safe either.
no, because it's like, well, because why you're buying the burner phone is what gives you away. You're either checking with your friends, you're checking with your social media, you're Googling how to get there, right? It's like, okay, nearest route, how to get, so it's doing the map. It's like, oh, look where the map started from, 6 blocks away from the dead ex-husband's ex-wife. There's just no way around it. These guys are experts at it. Uh, they've been, by the time they get to your case, they've looked at 100 cases like this, and they can interpret really good what this data, is translating. It's like, okay, it came from Marietta, Georgia. Who does this guy know from Marietta? Oh, the dead ex-husband's ex-wife. Well, there you go. See, there's just no way
Very
around it.
interesting. Very interesting. And I honestly, like, some of the things you've said, I never even thought of, especially about the pin being right next to each other. I've never even heard anybody say that. And that's so true.
And how a ping works, your cell phone will register from the minute you turn it on or the minute you activate the screen, sends a signal to the tower, registers to the server, hey, this phone is online, and it measures the distance from your phone to the tower. So if it says, it's 300 feet from the tower, they can actually draw a circle around that tower. Oh, it cross sections over the house of the missing person. Like, oh, so this was likely sent from that person's house. Now, if the cell phone actually has enough towers in the area where it triangulates, where it actually pings off of 3 different towers, because your phone will send a signal like a like a pebble thrown into the pond. It sends a signal like a circle from your phone in all different directions. And so it'll ping first to the nearest tower. It'll keep traveling to the second nearest tower and the third nearest tower. And where all that distance cross over, that's triangulation, that'll tell you the exact location you were when you activated the phone or you sent the text or you made the phone call. Because remember, your phone is measuring 3 different things. Usually, it's usually receiving and sending cell data, digital data, and analog data. So, anytime you're using your phone, it all that different data is being stored and recorded. And once upon a time, you used to get a bill 6 inches thick, recording all those different transactions because you used to pay by the click or by the text or by the phone call. Now everybody uses unlimited data, unlimited texting stuff. So your bill is only one sheet now. But it used to be that they'd send you a bill of every transaction so they could milk you for your $600 phone bill for the month.
Yeah. Do you think that's based on the cell phone and how the relevance and how important it is? Do you think that's why so many kids are not found because they don't have cell phones? They don't have last pings. If they're taken by a stranger, there's no connection to them. Is that why so many kids are never found? When I say kids, under the age of 10.
Right, right. Well, yeah, and that's probably a very strong reason why that happens. And another problem that you'll see if you do missing persons is typically what happens is some unruly teenager gets his phone or her phone taken from them. They get
Oh,
mad. They run away and go meet up with their girlfriend or boyfriend, and they're sitting there going, "Oh, I wish my child had their phone still because we know where they're at." Well, don't take their phone away.
exactly. I've
And there's
never
other
taken
ways to there's other way to punish them, and usually that's what causes someone to be a runaway. Now they're a runaway without a phone to track or call or apologize or beg to come back home. Uh, Parents think they're playing tough love, and all you're doing is putting your kid more at risk. So don't take away the phone. the phone is your lifeline. If they need to call 911, they don't have that anymore.
I agree. And it works the opposite too. My kids got really mad at me because for some reason my phone turned off my location and I was out and they couldn't find me. And they were like, Mom, never take your location off. That's how we find you through 360. We know where you are at all times. And just like you do, I was like, chill, guys. I get it. I get it. So it goes both ways too.
Right, right. And somebody should know, somebody close to you should know all your passwords. They should know all your logins and stuff. So if something happens to you, they have the ability to go to their laptop and see if you're active on your your credit cards, or you're active with your bank statements, or so that they know, okay, I see there's a transaction at in Vegas. Okay, she's not missing. She just didn't tell me she's going to Vegas.
Yep. It's true though. I was working a case with the father of a missing child. Unfortunately, it turned out to be a murdered child. And, one of his problems was that Apple would not let him get in the phone. And he's like, look, my child is missing. I need to get the data in the phone. And Apple would not do it. And he told me, go into your kids, tell them you want passwords, you want keywords, you want everything, you want emails, because I could not get into anything. The cops try to get into the email. He's like, I'm a single dad. I never really thought of it. My kid's 14. Why, let him have some trust. I don't need his Apple password. I don't need his email. The day he went missing, he was horrified because the cops couldn't get into it. He couldn't get into it. Apple wouldn't get into it. Google wouldn't nobody would give him, and he never got in it. And I went into the kids and said, I want your passwords and your emails right now. They looked at me like, why? Just give it to me now.
Well,
And
actually, I'd explain it to them so that they.
doesn't matter. I'm their mom. They should give it to me
Well,
anyway. But no, I mean, I explained it to him after. My son was like, that's pretty morbid. I said, but it's true, though. I need passwords. God forbid something happens. Apple will not break into it. My ex husband, the one that I was in this tumultuous fight with, the day he died, he had called me to ask me if I could get into his Google email because he could not get into it. And I was like, I don't know. I've never seen this message before. He's like, it won't let me in. It tells me to go where I was Wi-Fi. He died that night and nobody was ever able to get into his email. And I've tried since he's dead and we can't get in either. So I
how close?
what he
How
was saying.
close was your phone in proximity when he died? That's the real
He was
question.
in police custody when he died. So
Okay,
definitely
okay.
had nothing to do with
So
me.
there's no foul play that we need to explore.
But I'll tell you though, years ago during our custody fight, my lawyer said, you both better hope neither one of you end up dead because the other one will end up in jail.
Right.
And yeah, it was crazy. Crazy. Um, I had like one more question for you because I know I've been darting tons of questions. It was about Dylan Rounds. Um, all right, so let's to recap. Maybe when I recap, it'll come back. Recap is anyone that is a suspect, they would have had in custody already, correct?
I would imagine yes.
Okay. And the FBI is not lead on the case, but they've already pretty much done their job and they're helping with all the forensics that the local police who don't have the material need, right?
Right. Or the lab, or
Okay.
or the specialty. Correct.
Okay. Speculation on the case could hurt the main suspect. And
Absolutely.
to speculation based on nonsense could
Oh,
hurt
even
the
more.
main
Yeah.
suspect. Okay. But speculation on Farika, nobody's chewing gum. Um, I was eating like boba. I'm drinking bobo tea. Maybe you heard the bobo. And um, if speculation based on facts that we already know, like Jim Brenner, is perfectly fine and will not hurt a
Right.
case.
Right. Like, for instance, it's fair game to call him a suspect because he is a suspect. He's in custody. In order to be in custody, he has to be a suspect, right? Because that's when your rights are taken away from you. So it's not defamation to say he's suspect of a crime, and you can couple that with he's missing, so we're assuming that maybe there's something connecting there. But yeah, when people sit back and try and paint someone else a suspect that is not named, you're putting your own neck on the line by saying so.
Okay, fair enough. And I remember what my last question was: reward money. When I've heard so many cases where, the general public goes out and say they're going to get the reward money, they're going to get the, whatever it is, 20,000, 50,000, $100,000, they're going to get it because they're going to find something. And then other people say that it is so hard to get the reward money in a case. Why don't PIs get reward money every day?
Oh, well, oftentimes we waive off any interest in that because, you know, we actually have compassion for our clients. It's like, well, I'm not interested in the reward. That's a common phrase that most of us professional PIs use.
Okay.
Sometimes, it may encourage someone to join the case, hoping to get the reward, but you have a better chance at winning the lottery, in my opinion.
Okay. And what about when the police offer a reward?
It doesn't matter who's offering the reward; it's still for the same outcome, and oftentimes there's a misconception is you're thinking that the reward money is out for the general public to solve it by being a really good web sleuth. No, no, the reward is usually targeted to somebody with actual direct knowledge of the crime to come forward. You know, your husband came home and said something, or your girlfriend came home and said something. They're interested in that person coming forward for the reward money. It was never really expected that the reward money would take a complete stranger with no ties to the case, no direct information, that they're going to sit back and what, pull voodoo magic and get the answers. That's not realistic.
Okay. And how often do people normally come forward?
Oh, it just depends if they know something and if the incentive is right. Um, Usually, what happens is the money is offered as a reward, and those people have pillow talk. Don't worry, I won't say anything. But the next time they're drunk and it's a fight, damn straight, someone's coming forward. I
Okay. And
want
I
that
agree.
SOB in jail. I want that SOB in jail. He hit my kid again, and he's going in this time.
See,
So
that's why I thought that um, they were kind of maybe doing that with Chase. But then I go back to what you're saying about the cell phone ping, and I can't get it out of my mind. Like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. The Don Jim's cell phone was probably pinging the exact same spot that Dylan's was at that time, and there you go.
right,
Good reason to bring him in. And there might be case shellings and all that.
exactly.
Interesting. All right. Before you go, I just want to know if anybody, chat, has any legit questions that we haven't answered, because I really think I covered a lot. Um, Anyone speak now? Uh, so when do you want to do the Drummond and Ramsey? Because I am so excited for that.
Pick a date. Pick a time.
Tell me when you're available.
Uh, just about whenever. I mean, it's easier for me to agree to a date than for me to pick one out.
Tomorrow night.
Okay. Let's see. Tomorrow is Friday night. Then,
Yeah.
oh, probably not the best night.
All right. I can't do Saturday. Sunday? Sunday or Monday?
Monday. Let's do
All
Monday.
right. Monday night it is.
All right. I look forward to it.
You were like one of I've fought with people about Luspit's theory. Everyone's like, no, it was the brother. No, it's not. It was an outside person No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. I have fought with so many people on this. And then I read your Twitter and I was like, yes, someone agrees with me. So it'll be a great discussion. It's a case I know very, very well as well.
Well, good, good, because then maybe you can enlighten me on some of the facts.
All right. Sounds good.
Sounds great. See you on
You have a
Monday.
wonderful day. I'll see you on Monday. Thanks,
All right.
Jason.
You're
Bye bye.
welcome. Have a good night.
Well, that was an unexpected surprise. Yeah, boba, the tapioca, little balls, tapioca pearls that you put in. They put in like green tea, matcha tea, and they're good, good, good. Not a chance it was an outsider. It was an outsider. Loose Spit was dead on with his theory. Can you ask why wasn't JB background check run sooner? I think JB was run pretty quick. I think he was arrested pretty quick considering there was no body. Thank you, Scal. Out of all the crime things that, hey, you're on, that's probably my strongest point is interviewing. Like, honestly, it's probably my strongest point. Yeah, he was great. I forgot to ask him about Bullhorn Betty. I meant to ask him. I agree with you. I never thought it was a brother. Thank you. What and who do you think will make Brenner talk? I don't know. Christy, I am so confused about that because, like I said to Jason, if he acted alone, I wouldn't say anything. I'd keep my mouth shut. If I knew that nobody else could bust me and nobody else could do anything, you bet your ass I'm going to keep my mouth shut. So that's why I don't know. I don't know. Oh, the guy on panel is Jason Jensen. He's a real PI. He's the one that found Kylie and Crystal from Moab. Thank you, Mickey. Thank you, Bonnie. He's coming back Monday to discuss the John Benet Ramsey case. Jim Brenner didn't have anything to do with it. Okay, now Wakan, that kind of speculation, take it over to Doug. Thank you, Lily. Yesterday was his 1 year anniversary. Oh, he's also on Court TV, by the way. See Black Dove? That's what I'm thinking too. Oh, he didn't find. I thought he did find them. Eddie Bullhorn found them. Oh, absolutely, David. Yes, there was a lot of information that he said. And I thank you, Mickey. There really was a lot of information that he put out there. And I'm glad because, one thing about an interview, I want to learn something. I want to, if I'm speaking to a professional, I want to learn something. And absolutely felt that I learned a lot tonight, and I hope you guys learned a lot tonight. Oh, a friend of the no, Heels, no. I'm sorry, Heels. I said that wrong. Not found them. I meant found the person that killed them. I said that wrong. I stand corrected. The Hilla was Adam something, I think he said. He's the one that found the killer. But yes, a friend of the father's found the bodies. Unfortunately. He helped narrow down the person that killed him. The family accepts that suspect at least. I hope for peace for them. I agree. YouTube Dumpster, you remember the person's name? He said it tonight, and I forgot. Adam something, I believe. Yeah, the killer killed himself. Yes. Show some of your I just did a whole thing on my candles the other night. In a local they had contact with, I don't speak his name, he took his life. Like JENSEN, I wonder what his rates are and if he can work in 2 states at once. Yeah, I don't know. But what I like about him, honestly, is his background in, oh yeah, BHB took credit. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, he killed himself. Right around the Gabby Petito case is when they were killed like 2 days before Gabby. But the killer was found like 2 months later, I believe. BHB took credit for finding the killer. People thought was connected. Yeah, I don't remember the whole story, but he had, I don't know, the killer had contacted or was following her and started working with her, something like that. June 11th is when Box Elder police asked FBI. Oh yeah, she was serious. When you have real experience, you don't have to talk about it all the time. Oh, Jason is the real deal. I agree. Is he, Larry? I haven't watched him. That's probably because he's friends with the family. Heels in the air. Do you have any videos on her saying it was her? Because I'll play it now. In the middle of moving out of Las Vegas, back east. You know, I haven't seen. I made her a mod, and I haven't seen her since. I forgot her name, but I haven't seen her. Some with a B. I haven't seen her in anybody's stream, not just mine. It wasn't his assessment. The police only have one suspect in custody, period. And they've named him as a suspect. And I do agree. Like, I never looked at it like that either, but he's right. Us saying Kurt did this or this one did this could really hurt Jim's case. You haven't made any? Well, he said he had a background in law. He was a paralegal. Thank you, Kimberly. But I could with a clip. Yeah, because I know there are clips out there. But I like your videos. That's why I'm asking you. I love Heels. If you're not subbed up to Heels in the Ass, sub up. She really does great clips. She does really short videos. She's like how Corey used to be. Like, I wish she did longer videos, but believe me, editing a 1.5-minute video probably takes 3 hours. And I forgot who said it, I would never chew gum while I'm live. My name is not Marissa. I would never chew gum in an interview, and I would never chew gum live. I don't even chew gum, period. But I was chewing on Bobos. Each day, but I can look it up. I know in Alabama, you have to go through a whole bunch of stuff. Criminal justice background and PI license. Yeah, he has a PI license. But he said did what, 14 years? She needs 200 more people. There's 332 in here now. Go sub up. I agree, Lulu. It was a joke. Oh, I was joking. You did have bubble tea. No, I did have bubble tea. Thank you, Yarn. How to become a PI in Utah. All right, you need to be 18 and older. You need to be a resident of Utah, You need to have a clean criminal record. You need to be sponsored by a Utah PI agency. You need a $10,000 surety bond. You must include the bond in your application, and you must pay a licensing fee. How much does a PI cost in Utah? Minimum 1180, max 1150, 1851. I don't know how old that is, but oh, now it's changed. Now you must be 21 years of age. You must pass a background check. Um, okay. You're 21 years of age. You're a legal resident. You're good of moral character. You have good moral character. You have the financial ability to post a surety bond. You have the proper experience. You must have a minimum of 2,000 hours of investigative experience in order to apply for licensing to become a private investigator in Utah. Some applicants choose to apply as an apprentice in order to gain this experience. To do so, you must have a firm offer of employment from a licensed PI investigation agency in Utah. Use the application license mentioned below. Or you can have an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, paralegal studies, and that's it. It's $100 for a private investigator registry, $16.50 for FBI fingerprinting, a recent passport, photocopy your driver's license, $10,000 bond, 2,000 hours of investigative. I better get more thumb ups, people. What did I tell you about thumb ups? Yeah, that leaves PHP and JLR out. I think Florida is as intense as it is here. Uh, well, they can't be at heels. In Florida, you have to be 18 years of older. You have to be an American citizen. You have to have a clean criminal record. You cannot have a history of drug and alcohol abuse. You need 2 or more years of PI experience, and you must pass the Florida State PI exam. So they're definitely out of it. They couldn't be a PI if they tried. I guess they could take Jim's route. Yeah, they made it's strict here too. Because I looked into it and I was like, oh hell no. Bars let you in at 18 in Florida. No, they don't. She would never want to be held to PI standards. What's PI standards? I could see cop standards, not PI standards. In Alabama, you must be 21 or over. You need a clean criminal record and clean personal record. You must be an American citizen. You need to take an Alabama PI test regarding PI legislation. After you submit your PI application, you will be contacted by the board regarding taking your PI test. It's pretty strict here. I forgot what I was going to say. Did you know what I learned today? That Alabama has no lottery. I went to go buy lotto tickets this morning because I'm going to win $1 billion. But I went to go buy lotto tickets and I called Phoenix to see if they had them at his work. He's like, Mom, this is Alabama. We don't have a lotto. What do you mean we don't have lotto? He's like, we don't have lotto here. What do you mean we don't have lotto here? He goes, you got to go to Tennessee. Are you for real? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh my God. So I drove to Tennessee. The line was so long. I had no idea there was no lotto here. It shows you I won the last time I played lotto. Oh, Utah doesn't have it either? Thank God I'm only like 30 minutes from the border. I think it took me like 38 minutes to get there. We can do a potluck, but the winner might disappear. I just thought it was whack, though. I was like, I never knew that. Nevada has lotto, don't they? I know. Could do it in New York. Oh, you could buy lotto online? I didn't know that. That's crazy. Would I quit YouTube if I became a billionaire overnight? No, I'd still do YouTube. I would do YouTube from my RV and my chauffeur that would drive the RV all over around. That's it. What else would I do? Of course I do YouTube. I didn't know if I could do it online. I don't think you can. You gotta have a certified bank account attached to it here in the oh really? Yeah, it's tomorrow. It's over a billion. I only got 3 tickets. 15 games. The Gulf Stream? Gulf Coast is far from me. It's like 8 hours. Why did I think I always thought there was lotto in Nevada? The Mega Millions is over $1 billion. So it was worth my trip to Tennessee. Yeah, I'm getting a huge RV. No, it's tomorrow night. Friday night. I mean, there's one tonight, but the big one is tomorrow. Yeah, I would think Nevada would have lotto too. When you win, will you export me out? Hell yeah, Tony. I'll get you out of there. I'm not gonna win jack shit. I saw all these people paying like $200 for tickets. You're not gonna win. I will say the place I bought it from had a lot of winners. They just had a $500,000 winner on July 22nd. They already got the sign up and everything. So, oh yeah, I'm gonna win. 1 in 301 million chance. That's all right. There's still that one. Lump sum should be around 600 million before taxes. All right, that works for me. Have a friend who won 500,000. I would be happy if I won 10. If I won $10, I'd be happy. Most I ever won, I think, was 1,000. That was on a quick ticket. That's so weird. Nevada doesn't have lotto. I never knew that. That's crazy. But I'm gonna win. I'll buy Saturday night on my date if I win. Having all that money would give me anxiety? Shit. I could spend it immediately. You know what I'd actually do? No joke. If I really want a substantial amount of money, I'd go buy a store. And I know I wouldn't have to, but I would. My goal is to do my candles out of a store, and I would buy a store and fill it up with candles. That'd be my goal. Or get a really nice RV and do it out of that. Nevada has lotto, but not Powerball. We drive to Cali in Arizona. I want to build a tiny house nation for the homeless. I thought of that too. Not for the homeless though, for my children. But I have this thing that I want an RV big enough that I can sell candles out of it on the road. Like I can make the candles in an RV and I could go on the road, and that's what would support me while on the road is I would sell candles at different places. And I'm telling you, I've thought of this for a while. Oh my God, Yarn, I totally forgot. I have a price for you. I'm telling you, I think it would be awesome. And that's when not when I found out when Brad died, I was gonna get his camper. I was like, I want the camper, and everyone's like, why? I said because one, he just redid it, and I can do my candles out of it. It's like my dream. But we couldn't get it up here, like a pop up candle store, exactly. And I would still do YouTube, but that would be my main way to support myself would be selling candles at all different stops. I think it would be really cool, but you need a big enough camper. Hey, Peekaboo, to not only all right. I don't know what happened. Like that. That's kind of RV I want. Something big, spacious, modern, and it's money, money. Look at that. I can make candles right here. Sell them right out here. See, 2 doors. One of them you can use for business, and one of them you can use to walk in and out of. It looks like a regular fifth wheel. It's just big. The months we stay in different resorts, we can travel and can cost 1,000 to 2,500, which is basically like paying a mortgage. Oh, duh. 160,000 a purchase. That is a house. Ah, panda bear. For those of you guys that didn't know, I'm a huge panda bear fanatic. I love panda bears. I think they are just the cutest things. Look how cute. Love panda bears. If it's small living for a small price, then I understand. Majority of these places are expensive. Yeah, they are expensive. Hey, Nan. Yeah, I'm going to get off in a minute anyway. Japanese tiny house, I never saw them. RV living, that's what I'm saying, Ringo. But it's expensive to get an RV, and the person that would have put it all together for me is dead. So I have to buy one all ready to go. Aluminum camper. I saw that one. But they're expensive. Like, look at this. Hold on. Traveling with Ted. Hold on. Oh, this is small. Hang on. Hmm. Look at that. That's luxury living. I could pay all my amazing mods. You're right. Oh, this is a double decker. It's pretty small though. 2.5 million. I don't like it. 2.1 million. All these are like manly. 1.7 million. Too manly. There you go. 2 million. This is what I want. That's nice. Oh, 713,000. Why are they so ugly inside? 749,000. There we go. And now we're talking. 881,000. Eh. I could bubble it up with crystals. 800,000. That's nice. I like that. 800,000. I don't like that. 1.3 million. That's nice. Oh, here's a good one. It's only 400,000. That's it. You never heard of a double decker? Yeah, it's like this Hollywood thing. Oh, you want what Chris McDonough has? Chris McDonough has one of those. The Airstreams, yeah, that's what it's called. Depressing the middle class? Believe me, I'm less than middle class. I'm like low end middle class. Schoolie conversion. Yeah, but you have to have somebody that can build it, Ringo. I can't build it. That's the problem. And I wouldn't want it bust because it wouldn't get good gas mileage. I need some with good gas mileage. Here's the Airstream. Too much couch. I mean, if I was handy, Ringo, I could do it with a camper van. I could totally make a camper van work, but I'm not handy. I just have all the ideas in my head. Like, let me see a good one. That's not good. Like, I've seen some amazing camper van conversions. That one's not bad. Like, there's plenty of room if it's done right. That's some good space. That's kind of what I envision. You just have to have somebody that's handy and willing to do it. But this reminds me of like a what you call it, like a jail cot. I would need a real mattress. Kim, just retype it. I'm not gonna scroll through. Just retype it. That's pretty cool. There you go. I don't like that. You need a hot tub? Get a Grand Design. I don't want a fifth wheel. Fifth wheel is too much of a pain in the ass. And I'm afraid it would get stolen. You can buy the conversion kit, but I have all these visions of how I would want it. Me and the dog. Well, that's the thing too. You have to have a shower. I would need a full bathroom. Nice ones have a separate bedroom and regular mattress. Yeah, I definitely need. That's the two things I need: a bathroom and a mattress. And I've seen camper vans with bathrooms, like full showers, because people will like take out some of the couch and only use a little living space. Like if I have a choice of a shower, a full size shower and toilet, or a full size couch, yeah, I'll sleep on the bed. I'll sit on the bed. I don't, I'll get a futon, but I need a bathroom and I need a shower. Yeah, the big ones have two bathrooms, and I don't want an outdoor shower. I would need an indoor shower. Yeah, for only $400,000. I got that sitting around. That's like saying you could get a nice one for 150. If I had that kind of money, I'd buy a house. Camper van rabbit hole. Oh, I've been down there. I have been down that road. And if I'm traveling all over the country, I would definitely want a newer one because it's better in gas. Rather fly where I want, stay in a suite. I think it would be awesome. I think we once spent like 2.5 hours online looking at vans and RVs. I'm like, I'm getting one. I'm getting one. Right, Winston? You gonna travel the world? He ran away. I don't want an Airstream. Airstream, I don't know. I want one that I design. A plane is better, private jet. Yeah, that's true. But what am I gonna do? Throw candles at people? Gonna take you out to whatever restaurant you like once I get better. Woohoo! That sounds like fun. Thank you, Kim. It'd be different always being. I agree. I think it would be a blast. I mean, would it be better not to do it alone? Yeah. Hopefully, I won't have to do it alone, or I'll have somebody that wants to go travel the world with me or travel the countryside. But yeah, I think it would be great. Maybe I should put that in my profile. Must be willing to buy an RV and travel. Problem solved. Hey, Molly. Molly, go heavier. So, all right, I am going to get off though. I still have candles I got to make tonight, and this way they're done. And I got labels, which I'm not going to get much done because it's already so late. But tonight turned out better than expected. I want to thank you guys. Avery, definitely thank you. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and that's it. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Second day to Saturday, yeah. But I haven't heard from him in 2 days. But then I noticed that I had said something about not liking clingy people, so I think that's why. But yeah, we're going out Saturday. So Saturday I won't be on, but I will be on just date a single hot driver. I need a handyman. That's what I need. I need a handyman. I need someone that can fix anything, that can build anything. That's what I'm going to start looking for, a handyman. That's what I'm saying, Black Dove. But I'm not worried about it. I'm really not. So, all right. I will see you guys later. Have a wonderful night. And that's it. I'll talk to you later. Peace. Do you need a resume? Yes. No, I just need them to be handy. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. Peace.